Imagine waking up to the news that a beloved actor has fallen from a luxury high-rise in Beijing, only to be told within hours that it was nothing more than an accident. No investigation, no lingering questions, case closed. That's what happened when Menglong, known to millions for his charm on screen, was suddenly gone. But what if the truth was far darker? What if the official story was only a carefully constructed cover, hiding the last moments of a man who may have known too much? Grainy videos that vanished almost instantly. Whispers of a final message confessing he was surrounded by dirty money. And rumors of a body cut open to retrieve secrets all point to something more sinister than a drunken fall. Tonight on Criminal Tracks, we uncover the chilling theories, the silenced evidence, and the haunting question: was Menglong's death truly an accident or a secret execution? On the morning of September 11th, 2025, news broke that shocked the Chinese entertainment industry and quickly rippled across the world. Menglong, also known by fans as Alan Yu, was gone. Reports said the 37-year-old actor had fallen from a building in Beijing's Chaoyang district, a place better known for its luxury residences than for tragedy. Within hours, police statements and official notices tried to put the story to rest. The explanation was simple, they said. He had been drinking heavily, he lost his balance, and he fell. No foul play, no crime, just a tragic accident. It was the kind of conclusion authorities wanted everyone to accept without question. A clean line drawn under a messy situation. That same day, Yu's management issued an announcement confirming his death and echoing the official version. He had been out with friends, they noted. He had locked himself in a room before the incident, and by the time anyone realized what had happened, it was too late. It sounded neat and almost routine, as though the fall was just another tragic case of alcohol and poor luck. The problem was that Yu wasn't just any man. He was a recognizable face from dramas, a singer, a star whose sudden end did not sit comfortably with those who admired him. Fans wanted details and they wanted reassurance. Instead, they got a short statement that seemed designed to close the matter as quickly as possible. The first few days were marked by confusion. Social media feeds filled with shock, mourning, and disbelief. Some fans clung to the official explanation, repeating the narrative of an accidental fall. Others asked how a healthy, successful actor in his 30s could simply topple out of a window. On September 16th, a new statement appeared, this time attributed to Yu's mother. In her post, she pleaded with the public to stop spreading speculation. She said her son had been drinking and the fall was a mistake, nothing more. It was heartbreaking to read, and it carried the weight of a grieving mother. But for many, it also raised new questions. If everything was so straightforward, why did she feel compelled to speak out at all? Authorities did not wait long to show they were watching. By September 21st, Beijing's Chaoyang police announced that 3 people who had been circulating false claims online had been detained and placed under compulsory measures. State outlets repeated the news with emphasis. The fall was accidental, the case was closed, and rumor mongering would not be tolerated. Almost immediately, Weibo and other platforms began scrubbing posts and suspending accounts. Whole threads of discussion vanished overnight, leaving behind only the official story. It was the kind of coordinated cleanup that China's digital audiences have come to recognize. Still, what remained in the official record was carefully limited. The police narrative highlighted alcohol. They mentioned no evidence of struggle, no suspicious behavior, and no indication of foul play. They gave no forensic detail about the nature of his injuries or the sequence of events. The statements avoided color or depth, presenting a clipped and clinical description of a death that seemed anything but ordinary. In a society where high-profile deaths often attract suspicion, the speed with which the accident explanation was delivered raised eyebrows. Within this space, the government's message was clear. They wanted the tragedy framed as private misfortune, not public scandal. Fans were told to mourn quietly. The mother's plea was held up as proof that speculation was harmful and disrespectful. And those who crossed the line into rumor were warned that they could face real consequences. The tragedy of Yu's fall was not only about the loss of a beloved actor, but also about the narrative battle that followed. The official account was supposed to be the final word, simple and unchallenged. For the record, that narrative remains the state's position. Yu Menglong's death is described as a result of heavy drinking and a slip that led him out of a window in a luxury apartment complex. The official files do not include any suggestion of another person's involvement or any darker explanation. That is the version carried by government bulletins and echoed by major media inside China. In the eyes of the state, it is the only version worth repeating. Yet this clarity on paper has never stopped people from asking questions. The neat conclusion leaves holes that those mourning him cannot easily fill. How much had he drunk? Where were his friends in the crucial moments? Why was a star of his stature so quickly reduced to a few lines in a police release? The contradictions are not explicit, but the silences speak loudly. While the government's goal was to simplify the tragedy, the result for many has been the opposite. Every carefully worded statement seemed to spark more curiosity. Every deletion of an online post only fueled more whispers about what might really have happened. At the center of part 1 of this story is the collision between the state's need for closure and the public's hunger for truth. On the surface, the narrative is clear. A night of drinking ended in disaster, and a talented actor lost his life in a terrible accident. But beneath that clarity lies a restlessness that no official statement could calm. The government's insistence that Yu Menglong's fall was nothing but an accident was meant to shut down doubt, but instead, it laid the groundwork for the storm of rumors and conspiracies that would follow. It is here, in this uneasy gap between finality and suspicion, that the story truly begins. Almost as soon as the official version of events was released, an entirely different story began to take shape online. It was less tidy, less believable at first glance, but far more compelling to those who refused to accept that Yu Menglong's death was just a careless mistake after drinking. Grainy clips, screenshots, and whispered testimonies started flooding chat groups and video platforms. They came without context, often shaky and incomplete, but they carried a seductive weight, the promise of seeing something the authorities did not want you to see. One of the first claims to gain traction was about a mysterious video supposedly captured from inside the building. Users described it as footage from a window or peephole camera. The quality was poor, but it allegedly showed a figure struggling near the open frame before falling. Alongside it, an audio file circulated that many swore was authentic, containing frantic screams just moments before the fall. Some insisted they heard multiple voices, as though someone else was in the room with Yu that night. The clips were quickly scrubbed from major platforms, yet they lived on through reposts, private shares, and mirrors on foreign websites. To Yu's fans, the deletions themselves felt like confirmation that something was being hidden. Then came the shocking rumor that spread like wildfire, that during the autopsy, investigators discovered Yu's abdomen had been cut open, not by the fall, but by a deliberate incision. The explanation given in these whispers was more cinematic than forensic. They claimed someone had been looking for a USB drive hidden inside his body, an object allegedly containing damaging secrets about powerful figures. The story had all the ingredients of a spy thriller, and while it was almost certainly fabricated, the fact that it circulated at all speaks volumes about how suspicious people were of the accident narrative. In an environment where official details were scarce, any fragment of speculation found fertile ground. Another layer of intrigue came from what was described as Yu's final message. Screenshots surfaced online showing a supposed text to his mother sent shortly before his death. In it, Yu allegedly wrote that the money surrounding him was not earned by him, that it was dirty, and that people might come for him. The message was cryptic and desperate, exactly the kind of last note that could ignite conspiracy theories. While there has never been official confirmation that the text was real, it spread widely through fan groups and international gossip sites. The possibility that Yu knew something dangerous or was about to be silenced gave the tragedy a sinister edge that no government bulletin could erase. As days passed, the rumors expanded into full-blown theories. Some claimed that Yu had been caught in a struggle involving multiple assailants. The most extreme versions insisted that 11 individuals had surrounded him in the moments leading up to his fall, a detail repeated so often it took on a life of its own. Other versions accused unnamed celebrities and powerful industry players of orchestrating the event to silence him. The number of attackers varied depending on who told the story, but the message was always the same. Yu did not fall alone. He was pushed, forced, or otherwise eliminated. Neighbors in the building reportedly added fuel to the speculation. Posts circulated claiming that more than 100 residents quickly listed their apartments for sale after the incident. Why would so many people suddenly want to leave? Conspiracy theorists asked, unless they had witnessed something terrifying. Whether this claim was rooted in reality or just another exaggeration, it became part of the lore, reinforcing the sense that the entire building had been touched by something dark and dangerous. The rumors were not limited to the events of the night itself. Observers pointed out that Yu's personal studio had been deregistered just weeks before his death. For some, this looked like a breadcrumb leading to a cover-up. Why would his business be shut down so close to the tragedy? Was it a coincidence? Or was someone clearing the slate before eliminating him? Without clear answers, these questions hung in the air, inviting speculation rather than putting it to rest. Others painted the story in broader strokes, connecting it to well-known problems within the Chinese entertainment industry. They whispered about casting couch coercion, about actors pressured into compromising situations by elites who held all the power. In that narrative, Yu became a victim of an industry that chews up and spits out talent, silencing anyone who dares resist. Theories linked his death to a hidden network of exploitation, making him not just a fallen star, but a martyr of sorts in the struggle against powerful forces behind the scenes. What made these theories particularly sticky was not just their content, but the way they were handled. Every time a post disappeared, every time a video was deleted, it felt like evidence of censorship, which in turn was read as proof that the rumor had been true. When Chaoyang police arrested individuals for spreading false claims, it was supposed to discourage further speculation. But for many, it only reinforced the idea that authorities were hiding something bigger. Instead of calming the storm, the crackdown intensified the belief that something sinister had really happened. In online communities outside China, where censorship could not reach as easily, the conspiracies blossomed unchecked. Articles and videos in English, Korean, and other languages compiled the wildest claims into timelines that looked persuasive to those already inclined to doubt. They featured side-by-side comparisons of Yu's smiling public image and the darker rumors of his final hours, creating a stark and disturbing contrast. For international audiences who had less access to official Chinese police statements, the conspiracies often seemed more vivid and believable than the accident explanation. By the end of September, the story had splintered into two realities. One was neat and sanctioned, saying Yu Menglong had drunk too much and tragically lost his balance. The other was messy, dramatic, and impossible to kill, fueled by videos, leaked messages, and theories of cover-ups. To the authorities, one was fact and the other was noise. To fans, especially those outside the reach of Chinese censorship, both versions existed side by side, leaving them to wonder which was closer to the truth. It is within this swirl of rumor and suppression that the second act of Yu Menglong's story unfolded. Official silence created space for whispers to grow into roars. In the absence of clarity, the internet filled the gaps with its own answers, each more sensational than the last. For many people, these theories were not just entertainment or idle gossip. They were attempts to make sense of a tragedy that felt too sudden, too suspicious, and too carefully managed to be left unquestioned. By the time September turned to October, Yu Menglong's death had become more than a single tragedy. It was now a cultural fault line, a story that revealed the collision of grief, censorship, and distrust in modern China. On one side stood the official record, an actor who drank too much, lost his footing, and fell to his death. On the other side stood a chorus of suspicion, louder with every post deleted and every rumor punished. The gap between those two realities created a vacuum, and into that vacuum rushed fear, speculation, and the belief that nothing is ever as simple as it seems. For fans who loved him, the lack of transparency left a bitter taste. The speed of the investigation and the swiftness of the official conclusion felt unsettling. Why no detailed forensic report? Why no timeline of the night's events beyond vague references to dinner with friends? Why were fragments of potential evidence, like shaky videos and alleged audio clips, being deleted rather than openly addressed? These unanswered questions gave life to theories that might otherwise have faded away. To mourners, silence was more suspicious than any wild claim. The atmosphere of censorship only deepened the mystery. Each time police announced that another rumor spreader had been detained, international audiences saw something different. They didn't see stability being restored. They saw a government more concerned with controlling a narrative than allowing truth to surface. The punishment of ordinary internet users for simply questioning the official story struck many as an act of intimidation, not justice. In a society where information is tightly managed, the idea of silencing became indistinguishable from covering up. The timing of Yu's studio deregistration fed further doubts. It seemed almost too coincidental that his professional entity shut down mere weeks before his death. To fans searching for meaning, it looked like a clue. Maybe he had tried to sever ties with powerful backers. Maybe he had stumbled into knowledge that endangered him. Whatever the explanation, the detail was absorbed into the growing lore surrounding his fall, another thread in the fabric of suspicion. What made the case even more haunting was the emotional element. Yu was not a fading star whose career had collapsed. He was still working, still relevant, still admired. People remembered his smile in interviews, his earnest roles on screen, and his reputation as a quiet, hard-working figure in a cutthroat industry. That image clashed violently with the official portrait of a man so careless that he simply drank himself to death one evening. Fans who adored him refused to reconcile the two, and in their refusal, they found themselves drawn deeper into conspiracy. Theories began to branch outward into the realm of power and exploitation. Some argued that Yu had resisted pressures common in the entertainment world, pressures that could make or break careers. If he resisted too strongly, perhaps he became a liability. Others whispered that he had stumbled upon financial dealings or hidden scandals, too sensitive to ever be exposed. The details of these theories were thin, but the logic was seductive. A star with access to the wrong information is always at risk of becoming a target. Abroad, commentators compared his death to other high-profile Chinese scandals where official explanations were questioned. They pointed out patterns, sudden deaths, quick accident labels, aggressive rumor suppression. Yu's case, they argued, fit the mold of a story too dangerous to tell. In this framing, his fall was not just a personal tragedy, but another symbol of how truth itself can be manipulated, erased, or locked away. Inside China, many people grieved quietly, unwilling to risk speaking out. But abroad, the conspiracies flourished precisely because no one could prove them wrong. In the absence of evidence, suspicion became its own form of certainty. When people believe that all information is being filtered, then every deleted post looks like proof of hidden reality. The tragedy no longer belonged to Yu alone. It had become a mirror for larger anxieties about power, secrecy, and the cost of speaking out. Even now, the divide remains unresolved. Official records insist on an accident. Fans continue to whisper that he was silenced. International observers highlight the censorship as the most suspicious element of all. Between these competing narratives lies a deep uncertainty, the kind that gnaws at public trust. Was Yu Menglong's death really an unfortunate mistake, Or was it the kind of orchestrated cover-up that only thrives in shadows? The truth may never surface, but the questions will not die with him. And that, in many ways, has become the real legacy of his final night. The official record insists Yu Menglong died in a tragic accident, but the flood of whispers, deletions, and contradictions suggests a story that refuses to stay buried. Fans are left with more questions than answers, and the eerie silence from those in power only deepens suspicion. Whether you believe the official line or the conspiracies that swirl online, one thing is undeniable: his death remains shrouded in mystery. And as long as voices keep asking the forbidden questions, the truth may never rest. Stay with Criminal Tracks for more hidden stories they don't want you to know.